Hi, everybody. Look, when I say I'm doing something, I'm doing something. And I am not letting tech problems like get in the way or stop me. I'm going to find a way. So this morning, right, Facebook was being glitchy. It wasn't letting me go live like in any way, shape, or form. But I am here now. So let's really get to it. So happy Wednesday, everybody. How are you? How are you? Tell me how you're doing. Let me know. It's Wednesday, so on Wednesdays, right? I love to hear wins. I love to hear all of your wins on Wednesday, but I also like to hear, like, what are you still trying to achieve in your business? Like, what is something that you're still trying to accomplish? We still have half a week left, right? What is something that you really want to achieve before the end of the week? That's what I really want to hear today. So if you're watching on replay, even, it doesn't even matter if you're watching this replay on like Friday and you're like, Reed, it's already the end of the week. You still have time to achieve a goal or move it forward. So I want to know what you're doing. But today, especially of all the days, that's what I want to hear. So anyway, funny what this topic is this week and for this Facebook Live, because, in addition to perseverance, which is what I had to do today to go live, right? Like, I think that the topic is fitting for the technological problems that I was having. So when you're here, say hi, say good morning, let me know you're here. So I know I'm not having them anymore, although I think I'm good. But what we're talking about this week is like, how to really truly achieve your full potential, like how to move your business forward in the biggest way possible. And that's not like a grandiose thing, like how to move your business to like 1,000,000 months and all of that, right? It's just, I think right now, well, I think always, right? Time is our most important asset. So there are two things that I say, right? I think when you're trying to get up to 6 figures in your business, money is like the most important asset in your business. But truly, when you're hovering around, it doesn't even matter. 6K doesn't even, I'm sorry, 6 figures doesn't even matter, right? Let's say that you have a goal and you're hovering around your financial goal, okay? I can guarantee to you that besides you, you are the most important asset in your business. But besides you, time, not money, is the most important asset in your business, right? That's all the members of my mastermind group, the 6-Figure CEO Mastermind, all my private clients, right? This is something that they embrace, and it's what helps them get to the next level, is that they have to view time as their most important asset, and they have to treat it the way that they would treat money, right? So this is just kind of like a little like foundation for what we're going to talk about today. But when you're here, say hi, let me know that you're here. But how many of you truly, truly treat time like it's money? Meaning where every minute goes, because with your money, don't you know where every dollar goes? For the most part, you should, right? Don't you? Especially as a business owner, right? But do you know, like, with your time, do you know how it's allocated? Do you know how it's budgeted? Do you know, every time minute in and time minute out the way that you would with money, right? Like, are you treating time as the most important asset besides yourself, right, in your business? Well, that's why I titled this, like, Achieve Your Full Potential, but in the biggest way possible, because time is really our most important asset. So while we could achieve our full potential, and we can achieve it in a lot of different ways and a lot of tiny ways that take up a lot of time, right? Why would we want to, right? How many of you truly like feel, especially now, more than ever, but at all times, right? The time is an important asset to you. You might not be treating it, like I said, right? Like treating it like money, but I want to know. And if you're watching live, or if you're watching on the replay, say yes, let me know if you think time is important. Like, could you always use more time? Do you feel like you never have enough time, right? I want to know, like, how you're currently feeling around the time that you have in your business and in your life, especially with everything that's going on right now, right? But I mean, let's be honest, that's true all the time, right? That's true all the time. So here's the thing, right? When we start our business and we start getting traction, right? Just a little bit of traction. So maybe people, what is something in your business? This is actually a really good question. And again, if you're watching on replay or you're watching live, answer this for me. But what is something that's recently started, or what was the most recent thing? So either recently started or what was the most recent thing that gained traction in your business? Like, what gained traction in your business? Is it that people started following you on Instagram? Maybe you're trying to use Instagram and your following has increased. Maybe it's that you have a Facebook group and your membership is growing, or maybe it's your list is growing, or maybe you wanted to speak and you're getting asked to speak now a few times, or maybe you wanted to sign clients and you signed a client and that's gaining traction, or maybe it's that you wanted to make money in your business and you started making some money and now that's gaining traction. So I would love to know, what is something, or what is the most recent thing that started gaining traction or that gained traction in your business? Like, comment and tell me that in the comments, right? I mean, it could be a variety of things, right? But it's usually things around social media following that come to mind, things around clients, things around money, things around opportunities that you want to, maybe you have a podcast and your podcast listenership has gone up. Maybe you really wanted to just start collaborating with people and collaboration started taking off. So whatever it is, I want to know, what is like the most recent thing that gained traction, that had no traction, that has gained traction in your business, right? And I want you to think about that as I continue this talk. So like, it's exciting when things start gaining traction, right? Isn't it like super exciting when a strategy that you've put into place, right, actually starts working, right? So you post on Instagram all of the time, every day, and suddenly people start engaging, people start following you, people start interacting, or you see that membership grow, or you see that, you signed a second client, or it's very, very exciting when something that we're working on starts taking off. And that's why I want to know what the most recent thing was that like you started that for a minute or for a year had no traction, but it has some traction, or it started getting traction, right? What's that most recent thing? Well, it's exciting, and here's what happens, right? So we're excited because it's like, oh my gosh, this thing is working. People are joining. People are coming to my events, like maybe pre-COVID time, right? But like, people are coming to my events, and people are listening to my podcast, and people are starting to engage with me in my Facebook group, or people are retweeting me, or whatever it is, right? And what happens then is that excitement triggers, right? That excitement triggers this desire for more, right? You're like, oh my gosh, okay, so now that I've started getting members in my Facebook group, now I want X, right? Now I want more clients. Or like, so maybe the strategy, right, that you picked was growing your Instagram. I'm going to keep going back to Instagram. I don't know why. Maybe this is the universe telling me I need to pay attention to my Instagram account today. But maybe your goal, your strategy that you were trying to move forward is your Instagram account. And so you work it, right? You work it, and then it's like, okay, people are interacting. Like, you've gotten, a couple of people are commenting on most of your posts. People are following you. No one's like, it doesn't seem like a total struggle. It's not where you want it to be. Hi, how are you doing? I hope I pronounce this right. You're a DC? Is that it? You're a DC? I hope I pronounced that right. Right, so we're using Instagram as an example, okay? But let's say that it's not where you want it to be, but it's taking off. So people are engaging. You have a few comments, right? Real comments, not bot comments. You have, a couple of people watching your stories, etc. So you had no traction on Instagram, and then suddenly, not suddenly, but you work your strategy, and then you get some traction, and that's exciting. Right? That's super exciting when you start getting traction on something that you wanted results on. And what happens then is you're going to want more. But here's what our little tricky brain does. Okay? Our tricky brain doesn't want more of what we have. It actually wants something else. So it's like, oh, okay, well, a couple of people are commenting on my Instagram account, and I get a few views on my stories. And so now I can add something else, right, to my strategy or to my business. Or you see this with events. Hi, Lana, your stuff is coming. I saw your email. Your stuff is coming. I had to order it from Cultivate What Matters. So just because of COVID, all of the mailing is behind. So just know your thing is coming. Anyway, or right, maybe I see this with events, people who have in-person events. Maybe some people start coming out, right? Maybe you have like a coffee networking meeting and then a person comes out and then 2 people come out to the next. And then you have 10 people, right? You reach like your 3rd or 4th event and you have 10 people and you're like, oh my gosh, maybe you have a month of events. Maybe you have 2 months of events, right? And you get a handful of people to come out to the events that you're having every month. Again, this is what our tricky brain does, right? Our tricky brain doesn't want more of that same thing. It is super excited and it wants more of something new, right? So it's like, wow, see, our events are working now. I'm going to use my singles group as an example. So many of you know, I mean, I still have it. It's really defunct. I got to figure out what to do with it. But I ran a singles group in the DC area that in its heyday was 5,000 members, okay? So this became one of the largest singles groups in the DC area, and it was rated 2 years in a row as like the #1 place to just meet people and make friends. It was a huge group, right? I had like 10 assistant organizers at one point. We were having 30 to 35 events a month. I mean, with good attendance, right? It was great. But that's not how it started. Okay, so it started with like me posting a happy hour and like 3 people coming, right? And then like me doing something and like 10 people came, and then me, and then more came, and then me, and more people came, right? Well, as the group started getting what we'll call successful, right? But really it was traction. I had a vision for the group, right? I had a measure of success. And while it was headed in that direction, right, it hadn't reached it yet. So I was gaining traction. I had consistent people out. I knew events would be attended. I knew people liked the group, right? It was working. The traction had happened. So at this point, I started getting all kinds of contributions, we'll call them contributions, right, from the other members of Singles in the Suburbs. So Singles in the Suburbs was the name of this meetup group. And the contributions were things like, we should start a Facebook group. So I started it was a meetup group, Singles in the Suburbs. And I started the meetup group back in 2006. So it was before Facebook groups were really hot or like a thing. But people were like, you should do a Facebook group, right? And then other people were like, you should do a podcast. And then other people were like, you should, I'm trying to think of all the things, right? Oh, we should start a membership card, right? Like everybody was saying, we should start a membership card where you can go around and you can get discounts from all of these like retail establishments and restaurants and all that we were using all the time. So people had all of these really great ideas about what I should do, right, with the group. And here's the thing, right? I listened to them. So what I'm about to tie these 2 thoughts together, okay? So if you guys like, those of you who know me know, like, stay along for the ride. The stories always converge, right? Okay, so I started the singles group. The reason that the singles group got to the point it did were consistent people were coming out to consistent events, right? Not where I wanted it to be, but it was good, right? It had traction. It was good. It was gaining a little more all the time. It was good. The reason that worked, the reason that group was successful is because I was consistent with it, okay? And I'm going to tell you what I mean about consistent. I had really turned that group into like a true community, okay? I had turned that into like a thriving community. Now, the reason that it worked, the reason that repeat people kept coming out, the reason more people kept coming out, the reason our events gained traction, the reason the membership grew is because I was visible all of the time, okay? I was visible in that group all of the time. And people are always like, well, how can you be visible in a meetup group all the time? It's not like a Facebook group, right? The reason that I could be visible all of the time was because it had like a discussion forum thread and I was always starting discussions. I was emailing out the membership all the time, whether it was like a poll about what events they wanted to see, whether it was just telling them some things that were coming up, whether it was talking about an event that just happened, whether it was sharing news from members, right? I always had a reason to message them. Now, back in the day, right, with Meetup, it wasn't like a newsletter. This was not my business, right? I was working as an attorney. Singles in the Suburbs was my hobby, right? It was a very great hobby, but it was a hobby. And so I didn't have a newsletter. I didn't even think about starting a newsletter, none of that, right? But I made sure that I always had a reason to message them, right? There was always something that I needed to find out, that I was sharing, that I was getting them excited about, that I was talking about them, that I was introducing them to each other, something, right? So I was visible all of the time in that group. That's one reason why that group took off, why that group and community grew to be really successful. I also scheduled consistent events, right? So here's what I mean by consistent events. I gave members something that they could count on. So I started with just one event a month, but it was always on the third Wednesday of the month, right? And it was always like a happy hour. Because to me, right, there's nothing worse than when you don't know people. Well, back then. Now I don't care. Now I love it. But there's nothing worse than when you go to an event with people you've never met before and you don't know, and it's like a dinner or some multi-hour event where you're locked in to being with these people like the entire night, right? So I think it'll be easier and better for people to come to something that doesn't lock them in, right? That allows them to experience and see if this is for them. They're more likely to come out and check it out, right? So I knew a happy hour would be good for that kind of thing. I mean, singles in the suburbs who wouldn't like a happy hour. Even if you don't drink, people came out to the happy hours all the time, right? So because they were just great, but I had them consistently. Then I added another event, but then the consistency wasn't. I kept like 2 events that were always consistent. So like that new member happy hour, come meet and greet kind of happy hour always happened, and then there was a coffee event that always happened, right? The rest that became consistent, it wasn't the events themselves that were the same. It wasn't always like every Monday this and every Tuesday that and every Wednesday that. What it was people could just consistently rely on the fact that there were going to be events every week. People knew there's going to be at least one event a week on the Singles in the Suburbs calendar. And I never missed it, right? If I couldn't run an event, I found somebody else who could run an event, right? I rearranged my schedule so I could run an event. Like my non-negotiable was consistency. I wanted people to be able to rely on certain things in the group. And with the Singles in the Suburbs meetup group, that meant I wanted people to rely that when they came to the calendar, there was always going to be one event a week that they could potentially pick from to go to. Does that make sense? Are you guys following along with like it's really important that you understand what made the group successful before I get to the piece about the temptation that happened once it had gained that traction that I was talking about, right? So you guys getting the idea, when you hear this, what does that bring up for you in terms of your business right now, right? In terms of whatever you're doing, whether you're trying to grow a Facebook group or you're trying to grow your list or you're trying to get more clients or you're trying to get more speaking or you're trying to get more, right? So I was visible all of the time, always had a reason to talk to them, always had a reason to be interacting with them, to be giving them value, right? I scheduled consistent events on consistent days, but also people just knew they could come to the calendar and there would always be at least one event a week, right? And I held the events regardless of how many people RSVP'd, okay? So hopefully you're taking some of these lessons and you're translating them into your business. But I held the events regardless of how many people actually RSVP'd. So what I see a lot of entrepreneurs doing, whether it's with in-person events or it's online virtual events or it's whatever, they'll see that only 1 or 2 people RSVP'd. And in their mind, they wanted 30 people, right? But they'll go, oh, only 1 person RSVP'd, et cetera, et cetera. So then they would cancel the event. They would cancel, maybe you're scheduling like a virtual book club discussion and 1 person RSVPs, yes, so you cancel it. You're like, oh, we'll do it at another time whenever more people want to participate, right? That was a non-negotiable in my group. I was not going to do that. It didn't matter if no one RSVP'd. It didn't matter if 1 person RSVP'd. It didn't matter if 100 people RSVP'd. The event went forward, right? Whether it was me leading it or an assistant organizer, they knew we would show up to that event and we would not cancel it, right? So a lot of people, when the RSVPs for a virtual event or a group, maybe you're a coach. How many of you are like a coach out there who's watching this, or somebody who runs like a group program of some kind, right? Or you have an idea for something that you're launching and you start your launch and it's not going well. Okay, I'm going to give a great example right now. How many of you saw, please type yes or no into the comments so I know. This is some good market research for me too. How many of you saw that I just launched 2 days ago a special, unique way to work with me that I've never done before and that's never going to be done again. And I know that coaches say that a lot, it'll never be done again. Guys, this will never be done again. I just happen to have availability in my calendar to do this, right? I am offering 90-minute intensives, which I never do. The only way to work with me is 6 months, right? Like a 6-month coaching program, or be in my mastermind group. And my mastermind group is full. Private coaching is full, right? My private coaching is also $7,250 for 6 months. So like not everyone can take advantage of that, right? The mastermind group is also a 6-month program and it's full now, just started for the next 6 months. I do have a course that people love, but that course is not happening until October, right? That course isn't happening until October. And so there was no way that anybody could work with me. And we just had this huge all or nothing event. Lana, you were there, you were part of it. I don't know how many other people were watching, were part of the all or nothing event, right? But people came up with something they want to go all in on in their business. I gave people through group coach, like through some group videos and all that were live, some ideas and foundations and traction. But there were a lot of people that were saying, how do I work with you to see this through? How do I work with you to implement this? It's not 6 months private coaching, right? Your mastermind's full. How can I work with you? I didn't have a way. I had no way for people to work with me. So I decided to bundle this thing together because I knew people were waiting for the course. Okay, guys, my class is called The Most Important Thing. It's actually not a class. It's live interaction with a group. It's group coaching. You have me, you have your group, you have like, it's you're going to hear about it from people who are in it. It's an incredible class. It's the best group coaching program. It's the best ever, but it doesn't start till October, right? So I was telling people, well, you could wait till October, right, to work with me. You can wait till October, I guess, and that didn't feel good to me. So I knew people wanted the class, so they weren't gonna like necessarily work with me. They're waiting. I want the class, right? But I know people didn't want to be waiting. Like they have an idea, they want a strategy, they want to move forward with it now. So I came up with an idea of opening up about 10 spots for a 90-minute intensive. And the people who sign up for the 90-minute intensive, I'm giving them the course. I'm giving them I keep calling it a course. It's a group coaching program. I'm giving them the group coaching program called The Most Important Thing, right? That group coaching program is normally $497. An intensive with me is normally $597. So that's like $1,094, is that right? $1,094, right? Dollars. But I'm doing it for $697 because I have the time, I have the ability, I have the resources. I wanted to make this easy for people to work with me, right? Because this event, like Lana just said, yes, she was part of it. Like it was an incredible virtual event and people had a lot of really good ideas and a lot of traction that they started gaining towards those ideas, right? And I want to help people do it. But I share this with you, not only to promote it, although I'm promoting it. Guys, these 10 spots are going to go and it's only available till August 30th because by then I have to move in to actually getting ready for the course, so the group coaching program, right? So anyway, but I tell you this because I launched it 2 days ago. I don't have a sign up yet. Nobody's signed up. Nobody's asked me about it. No one has emailed me. No one has said, Rita, this sounds really great. How does it work? Like, tell me how it works. Like, I wanted, like, right? It's been 2 days, 2.5 days. I don't have any traction on it, right? It would be so easy for me to go, I guess nobody's interested. I guess nobody wants to do this and just delete it and like take it all down, right? Or in my head go, I guess nobody wants to do it. So I'm just gonna like not talk about it very much or something, right? That's what I see with entrepreneurs, with their group programs, with their events, with things like that, right? It's like they get a low RSVP or no RSVP, or the results aren't happening as quickly as they want them to happen. And they're like, I guess no one's interested. So I'm just gonna not do this now. I'm gonna take it down. I'm gonna delete it, right? So with the singles group, right, I share that story with you, right? Because it's like, you can't do that. It's like, I don't have any traction, right, for this bundle yet, but I am certain I will. And my job is just to keep showing up and telling people about it, right? Like, that's my job. Well, that's how I felt about the singles group that I was running, right? Which is like, okay, like it doesn't matter if 0 people RSVP or 1 person RSVPs or 100 people RSVP. It is my job to like keep showing up and keep doing it and keep being consistent so that members can rely on me and members can know the event happens like almost like the postal service was. Come rain, come shine, come snow, come sleet. Is that it? Right? Is that it? And so I wanted my members of my singles group to feel like that with me, right? So it didn't matter if one person RSVP'd. I didn't cancel the event for low RSVP. And I can't tell you how many group organizers I see doing that all of the time, virtual events or otherwise, right? Also, like if I came to the event, and this happened a couple of times where I showed up at an event for the singles group. So how many of you have ever gone to a meetup or run a meetup? Have any of you ever hosted your own meetup on meetup.com or gone to one, or did you have a meetup group? I'd love to know if you put that in the comments. But here's the thing with meetup, right? I always said for every, whatever number of people RSVP'd, subtract 2 and add 1, subtract 3 and add 2, right? The RSVPs never panned out the way that you thought. So there are very many times that I would go to a group, right? I would go to an event that I was running for the singles group. So maybe we were going painting, or maybe it was like, I don't know, some other activity or something like that. And I would show up, 5 people might have RSVP'd yes, and no one shows up, right? It is also a lot of people's instinct, if you're standing there to host a coffee at a coffee house, or you're standing there to host a painting night, or you're standing there to host an event, and none of the RSVPs show up, a lot of people's first instinct is just to leave. A lot of people's first instinct is just to go home. Like, oh, well, nobody came. I'm just going to go home and like get in my pajamas and do my thing. That was also a non-negotiable for me. I had to see the event through, even with just me as the attendee. So if it was painting night, I painted and I took photos and I shared it to my group. If it was a coffee, I had a coffee. I sat there and I would talk to people around me, or I would talk to the business owner to get to know them. And maybe that ended up with more opportunities for my group, right? And I would take pictures and I would share it. I really wanted the members to know they could always count on me and always rely on me, and that I would follow through on my word. If I said we were having a coffee event, we were having a coffee event. Whether one person or 100 people RSVP'd, and whether one person showed up, 100 people showed up, or nobody showed up, the event would go on, right? The event would go on. How many of you can say, and I would love if you're honest, that you have fallen kind of victim to doing any of these things, where you were going to host something and the RSVP count was low, so you just canceled it, right? Instead of going through with it. Or you showed up but nobody else was there, so you just went home, right? Instead of going through with it. How many of you have done that in your business in some kind of way? Like maybe you're having a webinar or you're doing a Facebook Live, right? I always use these Facebook Lives as an example. It's such a good example, right? Here I am, weekly Facebook Live. It says right now 3 people are watching. No one's interacting, right? How easy would it be for me to go, you know what? I guess nobody's here. I guess nobody really wants to talk about this today. So I'm just going to click end and like go away, right? I see this when people host webinars. I see if people are like, I'm going to have a webinar Sunday at 2 for free to tell you the 3 mistakes that you make that are keeping you from living the life you love or something, right? And they're all ready to host. And I get the deflated feeling, but they're all ready to host the webinar and nobody logs into the webinar. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I know who don't run the webinar. They just don't do it. They don't start it. They don't kick it off, right? Guys, this is costing you so much, right? So the reason I'm sharing this story is to let you know how my singles group got successful. And I want you to take these lessons and equate them into your own business. But I was visible all the time. I always had a reason to email, message, ask questions, learn about, share about all of the members in my singles group, right? I scheduled consistent events that people could rely on. They knew the 3rd Wednesday of every month, it was always this kind of event. The first Sunday of the month was always a brunch. Like people knew, right? But they also knew there would always be one event a week on the calendar. They just knew that, right? I held the events, regardless of how many people RSVP'd, 1 person or 100, it didn't matter. I didn't cancel the event. If I showed up to the event, it didn't matter if no one showed up or everybody showed up or any number between. I went through with the event, even if it was just me. I shared photos, right? People could learn that they could trust me, that they could count on me to be there for them with the things that I said I was bringing them, right? I also was consistent at the event, meaning that what people got at the event was the same, whether 1 person turned out or whether 100 people turned out, right? And I've seen this with other event planners. Lana's like, yep, I've done that. Lana's like, right, I did too, right? Like, I mean, before the singles group, right? I did too. Like, I remember with date coaching, like I did that, right? Like, it was crazy. But now, right now, and I knew that when I started the group, that was a non-negotiable for me, right? What I mean by I was consistent at the events, regardless of how many people turned out, was that it didn't matter if one person or 100 people showed up, everybody got like the same experience, right? So like if I knew that with 100 people, everybody was going to get like, I don't know, a prize, and I was going to be so excited if 100 people came, and it was going to be hopping and full of energy. Even if only one person came, I still recreated that feeling. They got a gift bag. It was still hopping. I made sure that they had a full time, just as much as they would have, right? If 100 people had come out, right? Even if that meant I had to start being the networker that would network with other people in the place and get us to talk to more people, right? I was consistent in how I showed up for them. I did not let a bad day at work stop me from running anything that I said I was going to run, or affect my demeanor or my attitude when I was hosting an event, right? Like, I didn't let personal situations keep me from scheduling or attending or running or hosting or welcoming warmly every single person that came to that event. Again, they knew that with me, I was going to be consistent, right? How many of you feel like, I'm curious, in this group that I'm consistent in who I am and like how I show up? How many of you feel like that? Yes or no in the comments. I would love to know. That's actually really good market research for me, right? But I'm hoping that I'm just always consistent. Like, if Rita's going live, you always know what you're going to get when Rita goes live, right? You always know Rita's going to go live. Like at the beginning of today, right? I was supposed to go live at 11 and I couldn't get on. Facebook wouldn't let me on, but nobody doubted Rita's going to find a way and Rita's going to come on and Rita's going to be live, right? Do you know what I mean? So with the singles group, right, I was consistent with that. And like I said, I always like communicated with them. So that it's important you know that, because that is how my singles group became successful, was me being consistent, planning events, posting events, hosting events, being the same person at the event, regardless of whether one person or 100 people were there, always bringing my A game, always making them feel warm and welcome. Always, 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 right? Always, always, always. Oh, good. Look, Lisa's like, you're completely consistent. Good. I love that. Like, nobody would know if I just had like a terrible minute, right? Like, I'm not going to let that stop me from like showing up and doing what I need to do and bringing you guys everything that I need to bring you, right? Let's see. Radiant says, I could definitely be better at being consistent. I could definitely be better at being consistent, right? I'm glad you're here, Radiance. Listen to the end of this. Listen to the end of this. You're going to like it. You're going to like it, right? Because I'm going to make it easy for you. I'll make it easy for you to be consistent, okay? So that's what. So that's the foundation. That's why my group became successful, okay? So now we're talking about traction. So my group had no members at first. My group had maybe one member, a few people come out, a little more. But because I was consistent, visible all the time, scheduled events, even if it was just me who attended the event, you know, all of that showed up in the same way, same energy, more and more people started participating more. So it gained traction. And like I said at the beginning, what happens when you start gaining traction in your business? You get super, super, super excited, right? You're like, oh my gosh, like people are coming. Like it went from one person at an event to like 12 people at an event. Wow. Or like, wow, it used to take me 4 months to sign a client, but now I'm signing a client every month. That's so cool. Or wow, it used to like, I used to do a webinar and nobody would log into my webinar, but now on my monthly webinars, like, you know, I'm getting 5 people who log in, right? There's some traction. It's not exactly where you want it to be, but it's traction. How many of you feel excited whenever there's traction in a strategy that you're implementing in your business, right? Like I do, right? It's normal to feel excited about it, but this is where you have to start being careful because that desire for more kicks in, but the temptation that is lurking, the way our tricky brain works, is not to get more of what we're doing. We want more of something else. So it's like, oh, I really want private clients, right? And you're not getting any private clients. And then suddenly you sign 2 or 3 clients, right? Like not suddenly, but you know, you're doing your thing and you sign 2 or 3 clients. Your tricky brain is going to be like, oh my gosh, we should so run a group coaching program. We should so start a course. We should so like do this thing. Cause look, like private clients are coming. So now we should we should do more. Like, what if we had all 3 clients at one time? What if we blah, 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 right? Or like, wow, I ran this event, like, and people are coming out, we should do more of like other types of things, right? Which is what happened with my singles group, right? So in the singles group, well, it didn't happen, but this is what people wanted to have happen. So when that group gained traction, the members had all kinds of ideas, right? Because whatever community you run, the members will always have ideas about how that community should be run, which is awesome. I used to have town hall meetings just for that purpose. Like, I can't tell you how many community organizers on Facebook or in person I meet who do not want input from their community members about how the community should be run. They're like, no, I'm the leader. I'm going to tell you how I run this place. It's like, no, it's not about you, right? Not about business is not about you. Period. But running a community is definitely not about you, right? And so I had town hall meetings on, and here are the things that came up from the members. They were like, oh, hey, you know what we should do? We should start a Facebook group, right? And branch out off of Meetup and have a Facebook group. Oh, hey, Rita, the big one was the membership card. They all wanted this freaking membership card where I would go around to all the, like, because we had, we patronized a lot of local businesses being a huge singles group, right? Restaurants invited us, like, so they wanted me to go negotiate deals for singles in the suburbs members at all of these places. That's a perfectly fine idea. I had no problem with the concept, right? Or even the time it would have taken to do it. It would have actually been really easy to do. But they wanted me to start this membership card. They wanted me to start a podcast. And podcasting was not really a big thing right there. I was just kind of like, I don't know about that, right? Like, but they started saying all of these things. They were like, okay, look, let's have a paid membership, Rita. This group is free. You could be making money off of it. And how many better members will we get if you charge? It should be a paid membership. You should have a membership card. You should take it off Meetup and just get your own server and get your own website so they're more robust features. You know what, Rita? Like, instead of just using Meetup for your advertising, you should start advertising on the radio. You should start advertising on Facebook ads. You should start doing, you know what, Rita? You need an Instagram account for singles in the suburbs. You need a Facebook group for singles in the suburbs. You need a Twitter account for singles in the suburbs. You need, right? Like, I was getting all of these suggestions because the group gained traction. So it's not just you as the business owner or the organizer, it's also the people that are involved in your endeavor. They want more, right? But they want more of other things. And like, I tried a few. In fact, I think you can go to Twitter and find a defunct Twitter account for SITS DC, SITS DC, because I wouldn't know how to log in and delete it now if I wanted to, right? I tried the membership card for a hot second. I tried that membership card. I did it with like 10 people, right? So I took some of their ideas and I started implementing them, but very quickly saw this, that dividing my attention was hurting the group, because there was no way, even with assistant organizers, there was no way that I could do all of the things and do them all well, right? So what I would do is like a couple of things kind of inconsistently and in like an okay way, right? When you're doing more of different things, it's impossible to do them all consistently and to do them all well, right? Unless you are like Gary Vee and you have a 100-person team. He literally has 97 people on his video team. Do you know what I mean? So like, there is no way to do all of these different things and do them well. And so this shows up with like, I'm going to have private clients and I'm going to run a group and I'm going to, from all new business owners that don't have a big team or a team at all, right? And I want to do this and I want to run webinars and I'm going to start a podcast. So this happens with like a lot of membership groups, right? People start like some kind of networking group or a membership group, and then suddenly they want like a membership card, and then they want paid membership, and then they want a podcast, and then they're going to start a YouTube TV show, and then they're going to like start like mastermind groups, and then they're going to start like joint collaborations, right? And it's not that you can't add different things in, it's that they're adding them in too early, right? Because they've gained traction. And so the mistake or the temptation is to think that traction means that you have reached the level of results you want to reach, or that the level of results will sustain from what you're doing, right? So the temptation is to do something else, something new. So offer a different program. Oh, a couple of people signed up for this webinar or this program. Maybe I'll do a different webinar. I'll do a different program. Or like, hey, I had 3 people sign on at my coaching price. Maybe I will like kick up my price or whatever, right? Maybe I'll start a podcast. Maybe I'll create a new group. But what you need to do at that stage where it feels like, yes, this is working, where you first start having that feeling of like, yes, this strategy is working, is more of what you've been doing. And do you know why you should be doing more of what you've been doing? Because it's working, right? Like I like the thing you're doing is working. And that's when you're going to want to bail on the thing to do something new, right? Because you want that, you feel like, oh, that'll just sustain. But it won't sustain, right? Because you have not actually built that solid foundation for consistent results. And that solid foundation where something is truly working like a well-oiled machine on repeat, where you can walk away from it and it's going to keep going forever and ever and ever, right? Like, until that solid foundation, until the mastery, until like going deeper and the mastery and the foundation is there to give you those consistent results like a well-oiled machine, what will happen is when you divert your attention somewhere else, that actually won't sustain. Do you see what I'm saying? So when you start getting traction on a strategy of any kind and you're like, oh, people actually like this program. Oh, people are actually responding to this. Oh, people are joining my Facebook group. People are joining my Facebook group. Maybe I should start an Instagram account. Like, no, just do more in your Facebook group, right? Don't start moving your time over to Instagram, right? Or, oh, people are interacting with me on Instagram. Maybe I should start a Twitter. No, just do more on Instagram, right? Or, hey, like, wow, people, I have a monthly Facebook Live and people log into my Facebook Live. So maybe I should actually start like a podcast. Like, no, just do more Facebook Lives, right? Like the thing that has started gaining traction and working, just keep doing more of it, right? Just keep doing it. If vendor shows work for you and you're like, oh, maybe I should like, instead of just vendor shows, maybe I should open a storefront. Like, no, just keep doing vendor shows. I'm not saying you can't ever do the other thing. I'm saying the temptation comes to do the other things too early. The temptation comes from traction, but not from truly consistently having that thing, that strategy, that thing that you're working on, at like operating like clockwork, like a well-oiled machine. It has gained traction, but it's not yet at that well-oiled machine status, right? And that's where you're going to want to start doing something new. And that's where your attention gets split, right? So not only is that thing not a well-oiled machine, so it's not going to sustain, right? It's going to kind of crumble and fall apart a little bit. So the idea is do one thing and do it really well, right? And so what'll happen is because that's not yet at a well-oiled machine, you're not doing it really well anymore. And now you're doing a lot of other things, but you're only doing them okay, right? Because you can't do all of the things and do them all well. Does that make sense? So like, instead of saying, what else can I do? Oh my gosh, my Facebook group has started working and people are joining. So what else can I do to get visibility? Or like to start building relationships? Maybe I should do a newsletter, maybe, or like networking is really working. People are starting to become aware of my business. What else should I do to build awareness in my business, right? Or, hey, I'm really starting to build relationships in this group, online or offline. What other groups should I join? Or like, hey, people are really starting to log into my Facebook Lives on Wednesday at 11, right? So what else can I do? Like, no, like stop asking the what else you can do, right? And instead, I want you to say, how can I do more of what I'm already doing, right? That is what will allow you to go deeper. That is what will allow you to gain mastery and create that foundation. And that is what happened with my singles group, right? So when I quickly realized that, oh my gosh, like diverting my attention from just the things I said, consistently communicating with my members all the time, consistently scheduling events, consistently running the events, right? Taking the photos and sharing the events, talking about the events, well, just that, just the in-person events, right? The minute I started trying to build a Facebook group and a Twitter account and a membership site, that started because that was not yet, those events were not truly at a well-oiled machine level yet. They had just gained traction. So that started to suffer. And the minute that I saw that that started to suffer, I said, no, I'm not doing any of these other things, right? Because the results that you get are equal to the actions that you take. And your results will always show it, right? So if you're only taking a few actions here and a few actions there, you're only going to get a few results there, right? But if you're taking a lot of action, a lot in one place, right? If you're going deeper with one thing, you're going to get bigger results from that one thing. If you're spreading yourself along multiple things, you're only going to get a few results from like the multiple things, right? So my mission of creating a robust, connected community was being hurt by trying to do all of the things. So I scrapped that. I said, no, I'm done with that, right? Instead, I'm going to go all in on my one thing. And my one thing was building relationships between the members and with the members. And I knew that the best way for my singles group to do that was the in-person events. So I committed to just Meetup. That was it. We weren't going to have Facebook. We weren't going to have Twitter. We weren't going to have Instagram. We weren't going to do that because I wanted all of my members' attention on that one site. So that's where they would go to connect and not be spread out with where they're talking and connecting, right? That's how I went deeper on those relationships. And I just kept scheduling, attending, and showing up for events consistently. So it was like, oh, these events are working, cool. And instead of saying, what else can I do? It was, how do I just do more events? Like, how do I do more of these great events, right? And I mastered the art of events and relationship building because of that. I didn't master the art of a podcast back then. I didn't master the art of like a Twitter account. I didn't master the art because I didn't do any of those things, right? But boy, did I master running events and building relationships on Meetup, through Meetup, right? Through that portal. Because my focus was only on that. My focus was only on the one thing so that I could get excellent at what I was doing. Meaning, if I was getting excellent at what I was doing, guess what? Your results are equal to that, right? So my results started being excellent, which is how we became rated as like the #1 singles group in DC. That is why my group grew to over 5,000 members. That is why, right? So Lana says, that's why I want to do mostly custom orders for my art. I love doing shows, but I don't want to supply little shops, etc. I don't want to do regular class, right? So if you know this is the best way for me to get my customers the results that they want, you go out, how can I do more of that? How can I do more of that? That same thing, right? So perfect, such a great example, Lana. I really love it, right? And so the reason that like this group works, the reason people are always like, Rita, how is your business growing? It's because I embrace the philosophy of working towards one goal in the most productive way to work that goal until I excel at what I'm doing. I get the support, I transfer it to support, and then I move on to something else, right? So how can you do this? How can you create the same level of success in your business, right? Besides buying the Rita Made Me Do It bundle, guys, because I'm telling you, that is the thing. A 90-minute private intensive with me plus the 6-week program included, right? The 6-week program included, and the 90-minute private intensive with me. I can't wait till you meet the people who just came out of the last round of this class. Within a week, 2 weeks, a girl had raised her rates to double what they were and almost booked out. She booked out by the end of the 6 weeks for the whole year, right? Another one raised her rates and got her very first client, like at those new rates. Like another one was able to get her first client. Like that course is incredible. If you were in that course and you're watching this and you think that that course was incredible, please tell people, because like that's what I'm doing right now. The 90-minute private intensive is super powerful, but then you're going to have the ongoing support through that group coaching program with me, right? Because I'm throwing that in, like you're getting that, right? That's what's in the bundle. But besides that, how else can you do everything that I'm talking about in my business, right? Well, I'm going to tell you about a client. So I was talking to a client and she was super, how many of you have been frustrated because you're not breaking through to that next level in your business? You're just like, oh my gosh, there's no forward movement. I'm just not breaking through. Like, I feel like I'm stuck here. I feel like I'm just getting okay results, but I'm not getting to that well-oiled machine. I have a few clients. I have a few people joining my Facebook group. I have a few people log on to my Facebook lives. Like I get a few sales, I get a few whatever, right? So I had a client who was feeling that way. And she told me, Rita, I'm signing fewer clients than I want. The clients I am signing, they're only purchasing my lowest cost service. I'm being asked to speak, which is cool, but for free and to small audiences, and I want to get paid. And she was like, look, and I'm still struggling to fill my group programs. Like every time I run a group program, it's like struggle bus to fill this program. So of course I did. Now this was over time, right? But I did what I do with all of my clients, and I get real and I dig with them. And as we dug through everything she was doing in her business, what I found was she was not networking consistently at all. She wasn't following up consistently. I mean, she was networking, but not consistently. She was following up, but not consistently. She was nurturing relationships like through a newsletter and something else, but not consistently, right? She was putting out content for people to learn about her and to trust her and to see she's credible, but not consistently. She was asking about speaking opportunities, but guess what, guys? Not consistently, right? She was not even holding true to her pricing consistently. And that's going to be another topic for another day. But she was like giving discounts and changing her pricing for people. She was having sales all the time, right? She was having sales calls, but not consistently. She was really focusing on her clients and like going all in, but not consistently. There would be some days she was just too tired or just whatever. So she didn't go over and above for her clients. She did what I was talking about with running groups, but when only 1 or 2 people would sign up for her group coaching program, she would just cancel it. She was doing mindset work, but she wasn't doing consistently. She, had a schedule and time blocks, but she wasn't honoring them consistently. She was like not seeing her time blocks through. How many of you can say that any of those statements are true for you? Say yes. Right? She was doing these things, but not consistently. Networking, but not consistently. Following up, but not consistently. Sending out a newsletter, but not consistently. Posting on Facebook, but not consistently. Doing direct outreach, but not consistently. Emailing people for opportunities, but not consistently. Discounting her prices, having sales, not having consistent sales conversations, canceling things that didn't gain a lot of traction, right? Doing some journaling and mindset work, but not consistently. And having time blocks and sometimes honoring them and sometimes not. So how many of you can say that you're that or you've been that or whatever? And I don't know where this phrase came from. I have no idea where this phrase came from. But I said, you know what? If you can't be consistent with the little things, then I don't know why God would trust you with anything big. You want something big. You keep saying you want more money, more clients, more opportunities. You're saying you're signing clients, but not enough. You're speaking, but not to large enough groups. You want to get paid for speaking, not free. You want more. You want something bigger. And I said, I don't know why God would trust you with anything bigger when you can't even be consistent with the little things. And she was just like, you're so right. Right? So she switched her focus from the outcomes to the consistency of her actions, right? So she focused on the best actions. That's what my program, The Most Important Thing, is about, right? Like, what is the best way to build awareness? What is the best way to nurture the relationship? And what is the best thing to offer? And that's it. And go all in, right? She switched her focus from what she was getting to how consistent she was being with the strategy that we had for her. The best actions only, right? That moved her forward in the biggest ways. And as she fell into this habit, right, we call it a habit of consistency. So as she fell into a habit of consistency, what she was doing was telling God, telling the universe, higher energy, whatever it is for you. She was also telling others because others see that, right? When you start getting consistent with less and going deeper, people see that and respond to that in kind, right? When you're scattered all over the place, it's hard for people to see what you're doing, right? So she was telling the universe, God / higher power. She was telling other people. She was telling herself. That's the most important thing. She was telling herself that she could be trusted. She hadn't been able to trust herself. Does that make sense? She had not been able to trust herself. And now what she didn't realize is other people didn't trust her because she wasn't actually being consistent. She would send a newsletter, but nobody knew, and they'd hear from her again. She did a Facebook Live, but nobody knew. Sometimes she didn't show up for her Facebook Lives because she just didn't feel like it. Nobody at that networking group knew if she'd be there that time or not be there. Like, people just couldn't rely on her, depend on her. It's not like it was their most important focus, but they felt it. They knew it. People know, right? That energy, people mirror that energy back. She hadn't been able to trust herself because she wasn't being consistent with all of those things, right? So the minute she just said, I'm doing less, I'm going to focus on the most important thing, and I'm going to go deeper with it, right? I'm going to get consistent by being consistent with less, by being consistent with only the most important thing I need to be consistent with, and having a strategy and working it. And when it gains traction, not saying, oh, what else can I do? But just saying, how can I do more of this? Right? How can I do more of this? And so over the next 2 months after that, she maxed out her private client loan. Within 2 months, guys, of being consistent, she signed more clients for her premium offering than ever before, because remember, everybody was buying the low-level offering, right? And she was paid for the first time. I remember 232. That was her audience size, 232 people. She was so excited. And she was asked to speak, and she got paid for it, right? That was within 2 months. That was within 60 days of being consistent, right? So it's like, are you looking for more in your business? Are you looking for more sales? Are you looking to have bigger rates? Are you looking for more opportunities? Are you looking for more experience? Well, then stop and ask yourself, what signal are you sending to other people and to the universe and to you about your readiness for it, about your reliability for it? Because what tells other people in the world that you can be trusted, that you are ready for it and you're reliable for it, is if you're consistent with all the little things. So if you're not getting the results that you want, are you being consistent with what you're doing to get those results? And if the answer is no, the answer is not doing more. Does that make sense? The answer is not doing more, right? Lorena's like, I really enjoy this lesson. Consistency is key. And I tell people that, but I don't do it. I need to do this in my life and business. It's hard to be consistent when you're doing too much. Guys, like, if all you're gonna do is Facebook Live, just show up and do a Facebook Live every single day for 90 days. I guarantee you will get more from doing that than you would from just do. In fact, like, I would love to issue, I'm gonna actually, so this is like a little spoiler alert. There's actually going to be, because there aren't that many people on this Facebook Live right now, so I can tell you all, there's going to be a free challenge where I'm going to challenge you all to do one thing in your business every single day for 35 days. Just the same thing every day. I'll help you pick the thing. I'll help you do that, right? Because I guarantee you will get more from doing one thing over and over and over daily than you will from doing a lot of different things less consistently. Like Radiant says, it's hard to be consistent when you're doing too much. It is, right? And so it's important that you focus on the most important thing to do. And you're like, what is that thing that moves my business forward? Like with my singles group, where I knew it's in-person relationships. It's in, for me, with everything I do in my business, it's showing up on Facebook Lives. You guys are going to see a lot more of me over the next, I'm just starting today is what I decided, and nobody knew it, right? But like, I'm going to be on Facebook Lives more. Like, yes, I'm launching my bundle, right? Again, if you guys want to work with me, this 90-minute intensive with that class thrown in is incredible. You get weekly access to me in that class for 6 weeks. I mean, to see a strategy through what we're talking about now to get consistent with doing less, right? That's why the course is called The Most Important Thing. It's called The Most Important Thing because that's what I have you pick. And that's what I have you focus on. And we create a strategy of just doing the most important actions towards the most important thing to reach the most important goal so that you achieve it, right? And you do it over 6 weeks, right? Well, your 90-minute intensive, we can really set a good strategy. So that 6 weeks, you're really rocking and rolling, right? So like, if you're like, I don't have the results in my business, then you need to buy the Rita Made Me Do It bundle. Like, you just have to buy it, right? Like, it's a no-brainer, right? Like I said, $697. Hey, if you're like $697 is more than I have right now, I need a payment plan, just message me, ask me. Like, I don't care. I really want people to have this, but I only have 10 spots for it, right? I only have 10 spots for this. 90-minute intensives are long, guys. Like, I can only schedule like 10 people. I still have private clients and I have my mastermind group, right? That's running. So like, but I want to be able to do this for you because consistency is so important. Can you not feel it in my soul that like really getting clear around this and doing it is so important? And so like, when people say, hey, Rita, I'm not getting the results that I want in my business, right? Like, there was a study done that basically said, if you want to succeed, you have to show up doing the same thing every day for at least 2 years. So how quickly are you expecting these results to come, right? Yes, you can get them quickly. It doesn't have to take 2 years, right? But like, if you really want to exceed that high level of success, it's doing the same thing every single day for at least 2 years. That is 730 days in a row, guys. 730 days in a row. So when people say, Rita, I'm not reaching my goals, like that client I just shared with you, I'm not getting the clients I want, I'm not getting the sales I want, I'm getting clients, I'm getting sales, just not what I want. The first thing I dig into is their consistency. Are they working towards just one goal? Are you only selling one product? Are you trying to sell 18 different products? Are you only trying to get private clients and not also trying to fill a group and do passive income? Are you working towards one goal? Are you standing firm in your strategy on that goal and not bailing on the strategy, not trying a million other things, right? You have a strategy, you're all in on it, you don't bail from it, you're consistent with the strategy. How long have they been executing their strategy? Days, months, years, right? How much time are they investing in working on that every single day, right? Because most people are in their heart of hearts are looking for the faster win or the easier path or the one that gives them results without the most effort. So then they get frustrated when like results aren't happening quickly, and they get irritated when things seem to take a step back, and they get upset about having to make all these like little sacrifices for long-term gain. So what happens is they'll take action, but they hop around, right? instead of Facebook, I'll be on Instagram. Oh, instead of Instagram, I'll be on Twitter. Instead of Twitter, I think I'll do YouTube. Oh, I'm going to hop over here to TikTok. Oh, I'm going to whatever, right? Or this idea to that idea, right? Like, oh, I think I'm going to do a group coaching program. Never mind. I think I'm going to do a webinar. Never mind. I think I'm going to offer this product. Never mind. I think I'm going to do this thing. Never mind. I think I'm going to do that thing. And what they're doing is they're hoping to land on the thing, the social media site, the offering, the pricing that makes it all happen really fast, right? Instead of giving any one method time, the real time, which is not overnight, guys, the real time for sustainable success, right? So when people are confronted with the reality that to get to where you want to be, right, you have to take consistent action every day for at least 730 days minimum to make it happen. How many people really are doing that? How many people are throwing in the towel? How many people are, right? That's how my singles group got to where it was every single day for 6 years, right? It was at the heyday around year 3, right? 3 and 4. Years 3 and 4, it was at the top. And then with my breakup, the whole thing, right? This group, right? I show up consistently every day in this group, and I'm going to show up more and more because this group is just as important for me as that meetup group was, right? For my singles group. And so it's like, guys, you have to be consistent with like one thing, with like just like the one strategy towards the one goal. So it might not be one thing, but like the one strategy, which needs to be simplified and focused on the most important actions for the one goal, like every single day for 730 days, right? Are you trying to wonder why it doesn't happen in 2 months? Are you trying to wonder why? Like, again, you should have traction. You'll be getting traction and you'll be getting what feels like success. But if you keep saying, oh, why am I not getting the bigger success? Why am I not getting it, right? It's because of this. So like, it's your dream, right? All of you are saying this thing is your dream. You guys are the only ones that can make it real. Like, you're the only people that can make this a reality. So ask yourself, am I looking for rewards without showing up every day? Am I looking for rewards without showing up every day? Am I expecting that this dream is loyal to me and I'm not loyal to the dream, right? Like, are you loyal to your dream? Are you being loyal to your dream? If you are ready to go all in on it, on one thing, I want you to tell me in the comments. Say, yes, like I'm ready, right? Like, are you ready to focus on one thing and be consistent with one strategy towards one goal, right? Every day, go deeper on less instead of wider on more. If so, say yes in the comments, say me, or something that lets me know, and really, really, really consider this Rita Made Me Do It bundle. Right? Because with everything full until October and that class starting in October, and I don't want you to wait till the class, which is why I'm throwing in the class, right? Like, I have opened up these limited spots for this virtual 90-minute coaching intensive, and it's personalized to you. We're going to do exactly what I just said. Then for 6 weeks in the program with a huge, robust community and all of the support you need, including access to me, you're going to be able to implement that, right? So, in fact, here's one thing. How many of you wish you were making a little more money? Say yes or no. And if you're watching on replay, say, I wish I was making a little more. No, I'm good. I don't need any more money. Whatever, right? How many are truly at the level of income that they want? Yes or no? Are you at the level of income that you want? Are you done? Are you happy? Or do you wish you were making and generating more income or profit or revenue in your business? Like, tell me, right? Tell me in the comments. Here's something that I want you to do. Here's an action for you to take right now, and I will sit here and wait. All right, but I do want you to come back, and I want you to answer it, even if it's not right now. Right? So the majority of people come to me for this reason. They are frustrated that they're not hitting their sales goals, right? And I ask them to talk out, like, well, where do you think the issues are with reaching your sales goals? So if you're one of the people that in the comments is saying, hey, I'm not reaching my sales goals, like I'm making sales and whatever, but I'm not at the income I want yet. I'm not at the revenue I want yet. I'm not generating the profit I want yet. I still want more for me personally or in my business or whatever. I want you to tell me, where do you think the issue is? Like, why do you think that you're not making that money in your business, right? And most people will say, well, I think I need to change my target market because my audience just can't afford me. I mean, I hear that all the time. Oh my gosh, there's no like special group of people that can just afford things, right? Like, people are, it doesn't matter how much money you make. There are always people who can make $1 million, trillion and think they don't have enough money for something that costs like $100, or they don't think it's worth spending $100 on, which is different, right? But like, people are always like, I think I just need to change my market or my audience because my current market, they just can't afford me. Or, well, you know, no one signed up for the group coaching program or the package or the retreat or the whatever, so I have to create something different. Or, I think the issue with not reaching my sales goals, Rita, is my prices are too high. Like if I just lower my prices, then I'll get more clients, right? Or, Rita, I'm not making the sales I want, but maybe it's just because I'm not networking in the right places. Or like, Rita, I'm not getting the sales that I want. Maybe I just need to try a different social media site. So how many of you have ever said in your head or out loud or whatever, any statement like that or similar to that, or any of those statements, right? Like if you're not reaching your sales goals, you're not generating the profit, the revenue, the income that you want in your business, how many of you have had a thought like, oh, maybe if I just change my market or my audience, or maybe if I just change the shows I'm going to, or maybe if I just change the conferences I'm attending or where I'm speaking, or if I just change my target market, or if I just change my offer, or if I just change my price, or if I just network in different places, or if I just try a different social media site, then maybe I'll reach my sales goals. How many of you, yes or no, honestly, have had thoughts like that? Like, I want to know. I want you to tell me, right? Tell me. I want you to tell me, right? But here's the thing. I hear these all the time, right? But what I do is I go start reviewing all of their stuff, right? This is going to be part of what I do with you in the intensive. If you buy the intensive, the Rita Made Me Do It bundle, right? But I start reviewing their newsletters. I start reviewing their social media sites. I start reviewing like all of their posts, their newsletters. What content are they posting in their own group if they have one, or in other groups? Like what are they putting on their business page? What is their sales process like? Like how do they get sales? How do they get sales calls? Like dig into that, right? So I do all of this, and here's what becomes obvious to me. Are you ready? You guys want to know what it is? Because it's not the audience, and it's not the target market, and it's not the networking group, and it's not the places that you're speaking, and it's not the prices, and it's not the offerings. Do you guys know what it is that's keeping most entrepreneurs from reaching their sales goals? The issue that's really blocking them? Does anybody want to take a guess? Anybody at all? Anybody at all? Going once? Going twice. So it's not any of the things I said, which I'm sure you're all thinking, right? If you're not making your sales goals, you're all thinking, it's because of all of this stuff, right? It's because I'm not in front of audiences that can afford me. It's because I'm not networking in the right groups. I'm not offering the right offers. I'm not pricing things at the right price. Like I'm not whatever. I'm not on the right social media site. I'm not right. Like I'm not posting the right content. I need to talk about other topics. Like that's what's coming up if you're not reaching your sales goals. True or false? Like I need you guys to answer me, right? But here's what it really is. When I go through all of their social media pages, all of their newsletters, look at all of their content, dig into their sales process, it becomes super crystal clear why they're not hitting their sales goals. They are not selling consistently enough, or even at all sometimes. I want you to audit yourself. I want you to go through the last 10 posts on your own Facebook business page. If you run a Facebook group, I want you to go through the last 10 posts of yours in your Facebook group. If you're in other Facebook groups, I want you to look at the last 10 posts that you posted in all of your other Facebook groups, right? So each one separately. On any social media site you use, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, I want you to go through the last 10 posts on your Instagram, your last 10 tweets, your last 10 TikToks, your last 10 whatever. If you send newsletters, I want you to go through your last 10 newsletters. If you do direct outreach, I want you to go through your last 10 like direct outreach emails. And then I want you to tell me how many were clearly promotional and how many were clearly asking for a sale. How many of you would tell me most of them? And how many of you would say probably not a lot of them? I'm curious. I would love to know your answer. So replay live, be honest, answer it. Take a minute and audit yourself. Chances are those last 10 posts on your Facebook business page did not clearly promote and sell something. Clearly, right? Like, or the posts in the Facebook group or in other Facebook groups or your tweets or your Instagrams or your whatever. Now, I'm not saying that every single post needs to be buy my pen, buy my wonderful pen, buy my pen. That's not the way. There's a difference between selling and spamming. So I'm not talking about spamming, but how many were clearly promotional, right? Like This is not clearly promotional, guys. This Facebook Live video, not clearly promotional. It is around a topic that is giving you tips and things you can implement in your life right now. Cool, right? And yes, I said like buy my bundle. That is promotional, but people wouldn't know it just from looking at the post, right? So I have some separate promo posts that are like, here's the information on the Rita Made Me Do It bundle and why you need to buy it and what it is, and here's where you go to buy it, right? Like sometimes there's like a PS at the end of the thing. That could be, depending on the post, like clearly promotional, right, or not. But the idea is like, how many of you are just like, I love my mascara. I love it. Maybe you saw mascara. You're like, look at my eyes. I love my mascara. Doesn't it mean my eyelashes look great? That's like clearly promotional, right? You're not like, and here's how you can buy it. Do you want to buy it? Here's where you need to go to buy it, right? Like, so I'm very curious what your audit turns up, right? Because it's usually, if you want to make more sales, you just need to be selling more consistently. That is it. To make more sales, you need to sell more. It is not about finding a new audience. It's not about a new package. It is not about a new price. It is not about a new freebie. It is not about a social media set. It is about picking the most important thing, strategy, right? Implementing that consistently every single day, not deviating from that, right? And just making sure that in that is selling more. If you want to make more money than you're making right now, you just need to sell more than you are, period. And it's not anything else. So how many of you have said it's something else, but you can honestly say, I just don't sell enough? Maybe you got one client because you posted a couple of posts. Cool. Imagine if you posted 50 posts. Imagine if you posted 60. Maybe you got a client because you sent out a weekly email. Cool. What if you sent out 2 weekly emails? What if you sent out a daily email? Right? How much more would you sell? Maybe you got a client because you went live one day on your business page. Cool. What if you went live every week? What if you went live every day? Right? Like the idea is just do more of what you're doing that's working and gaining traction, and you need to sell more. Right? It's all about consistency, but consistency in those things, right? Not trying to do everything, right? Trying to do just one thing and doing it really, really well, right? And that's what I'm going to help you do in the Rita Made Me Do It bundle. Really only 10 spots. August 30th is the last day. The 10 spots will sell, right? If you want one, not only do you get the intensive, but you get the 6-week program, right? So you're saving $397 because you're getting the 6-week program, right, included. So trust me, that program is off the hook. That program is incredible. You're going to hear from so many different people about that program. So that's all I wanted to say. Really be honest. I want to know in the comments. I want you to do that audit. Tell me what your audit showed, right? If you're not making the money you want, if you're not getting the clients you want, if you're not getting the sales that you want, if you're not getting whatever you want, you have to ask yourself those hard questions, which is, how consistently am I being with the actions that I am taking? If I can't be consistent with the little things, why on earth would I expect the world to give me something bigger or more? I'm not reliable for it. I'm not ready for it, right? So how can you be more consistent? And the way that you get more consistent is by doing less. And that means you really need to know what the most important thing is to move your business forward, so you can go deeper on that thing and just do that every single day. Just do that every single day, right? And then on top of it, how consistently am I selling? How consistently am I selling? To sell more, you need to sell more. To make more sales, you need to sell more. Okay? All right, that's all. That's all I got for you today, guys. So I expect to see you all sign up for the Rita Made Me Do It bundle. And I can't wait to work with you all. But comment. Let me know, what was a takeaway? What is an action? What is something you're going to do differently as a result of this live? And guess what, guys? You're going to see me next Wednesday. So I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.